Welcome back to the Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Gulseth.
It is Friday, July 10th. Summer is not over, even though we're talking about back to school. Summer's not over, and there are still some opportunities, especially for high school students, to learn more about serving in the church in full-time church work, things like serving in the Office of Holy Ministry as a pastor or maybe a deaconess. Joining us today, the Reverend Micah Glenn, Director of Recruitment for Concordia Seminary in St. Louis. Pastor Glenn, thanks for being our guest this morning.
Oh, good morning, Andy and Sarah, and thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure.
Absolutely. Always good to chat with you and learn more about what's going on at Concordia Seminary now. This is fairly new to, you're new to this position somewhat, and glad to have a chance to talk with you this morning about what's going on at Concordia Sem. Yeah,
definitely. I accepted this call back on March 9th, and then 2 weeks later, the pandemic hit. So a great time to start a new call, but when God throws you lemons, you make lemonade.
So Concordia Seminary usually every summer offers this a fantastic opportunity for high school students, for high school men and women, to learn more about serving in the church, called Vocatio. Tell us more about what is Vocatio.
Yeah. So vocatio, taken from the Latin vocation, just helping our young people discern different options for life in their future, and impressing that ministry hopefully could be a very viable option for them to pursue as a career in the future. And we bring them on campus and try to show them what CSL has to offer and what training in ministry looks like, so that they can begin to picture themselves in the pulpit or in a mercy center, maybe as a missionary, something of that nature. But yeah.
What are some of the things that high schoolers think about or consider when thinking about the Office of the Holy Ministry?
I think for high schoolers, I think at their stage, is the thing that they're thinking about more than picturing themselves necessarily as a pastor per se, is what does a training look like? What is it going to take for me to become a pastor? Because the traditional route, of course, is 4 years of college, which can be strenuous, and then after that, another 4 years of graduate school. And so just, again, getting them to picture that and then giving them a clear understanding of what it will look like, so that it not only looks possible, but just doable.
So certainly students can learn about, young men can learn about the Office of Holy Ministry. Are there other church work opportunities that students can learn about in Vocatio?
Well, for a CSL, it's the Office of Holy Ministry and Deaconess programs. Those are the two ministry programs that we offer. Now, of course, there are a couple of different routes, but for high school students, I think the traditional route is going to be the way. And while there are certainly different routes to ministry and different jobs in ministry, I think a thing that I would like to impress on our young children, or our young high school students in particular right now, is that the demand for pastors and even deaconesses is going to skyrocket in the near future. And so if you have a talent for ministry, you have an open heart, you have a willingness to serve God and to preach the gospel, I would really impress upon them to begin to consider becoming a pastor, because we're going to need you in the very near future.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that students will be able to experience at Vocatio?
Yeah, well, this year is a little bit different. Usually it's a week-long experience with, service projects and a look around St. Louis, just so they can get familiar with the campus. And with the pandemic, of course, this year we're going to an online virtual experience. So we're going to keep some things consistent. We'll have daily devotions with me and my brother, Pastor Scott Holder, who has done a great job in creating a schedule, finding speakers. So we'll open Sunday morning with devotions, a quick introduction to this different virtual experience. Then the next day we'll have some Q&A with some pre-Sun directors from our various Concordias. And then our closing day, we're going to have some professors from the seminary come in and talk about some topics that they're familiar with, talk theology, talk shop, so that the people who attend can begin to have their, eyes open to what it's like to walk alongside some great men and look forward to a great profession.
Will they be learning any Greek or Hebrew during Vocatio this year?
So listen, Andy, I'm a big fan of the languages. If I had my preference, every Christian would learn Greek or Hebrew. We're not going to do that to them. Dr. Selesco is going to be on talking about the Psalms, and I'm sure he'll, introduce a little bit of Hebrew, but not, working them towards their qualifiers just yet.
So with it being online, it sounds like there are still plenty of opportunities for students to experience, to learn what seminary life is like and what they might be studying at seminary if they consider that route. The whole virtual experience, I'm sure, will present some challenges, but also may open the doors to students who couldn't physically normally travel to St. Louis anyway. So tell us, what are the dates and the other information we need to know to register and to prepare for Vocatio this year?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that is one of the challenges being in St. Louis. And, of course, we have churches coast to coast, and, it makes it difficult for people to come. So this online experience, we want as many people to enjoy. And so this year we've canceled the registration fee. And so if you register, the deadline is I think, next Friday. And you'll get a T-shirt from us still. And since it's online, we're not solely restricting it to high school students since the experience is a little bit different. So if you're in college or even post-college a little bit and you still want to tune in to see what CSL is about virtually, please do. And so we're going to begin at 5 p.m. Sunday, August 2nd with the opening devotion. And since it's online, and I think people are beginning to get a little tired of Zoom and things like that, we're only going to do 2 full days. So Monday, August 3rd, Tuesday, August 4th, and we'll close with a closing worship at 4 p.m. on Tuesday, August 4th. And so if you want to register, go to csl.edu/vocatio. That's VOCATIO.
What is that benefit for the students, high school students, but also the professors to be able to reach out to these students and to share with them the joys of their own experiences being church workers or being in the office of the Holy Ministry?
Yeah, for sure. When we ask the professors if they'll come and speak to high school students, we usually get more professors than time slots that we have, which is always nice. But a lot of these men have been serving God first in the parish, now at Concordia, and they just have a wealth of knowledge. And many of them pour their lives into their different topics. Again, we have Dr. Tim Selesco lined up, and he's got a commentary on the Psalms that's out. And so all of that passion, all that work and translating and exegeting the text and bringing it to life for God's people to hear and understand and digest, I think for them, that's a validation of their work to be able to pass that knowledge on to the next generation. And we just continue to compile their work that they've poured so much into and then continue to let it bloom and for the next however many generations come until Christ returns.
Yeah, what a unique opportunity as a high school student to get to sit in on theology classes with seminary professors. What a unique opportunity.
Definitely.
Pastor Glenn, what are you looking forward to most about Vocatio? And this is your first year as director of recruitment at the seminary as well. This is your first experience, and you get to do it all online. What are you looking forward to most, though, about this event?
Yeah, and so for me, of course, it would have been much better to get to greet these young men and women in person and get to shake their hands and see their smiling faces. But still, for me, it's an introduction to the next generation of young men and women who desire to serve the church, and to get to at least virtually meet them, to hear some of their concerns, to hear some of their questions. And then to try to do my best. You can't necessarily see 10 years down the future. We can project, we can guess, but begin to try to answer them for them so that if they do end up in the seminary, we can work on that together. I love working with children. I got the blessing of speaking at the National Youth Gathering last year. And again, just to be able to feel those concerns and begin to walk alongside them as they see the the future of the church begin to work in the world where they'll soon be leaders.
With the challenges of not being able to travel as much, in addition to Vocatio, are there other opportunities for prospective students to learn more about Concordia Seminary and studying for the ministry?
Definitely. There are more online events scheduled for people who have already begun the admissions process, and that's online at our website as well. I'm struggling for the name. Sorry, being relatively new and then being deployed. But these online events, so if you've begun to be admitted into seminary, you still want to see what the campus and everything is like with Pastor Will Reedy, we call him Father Ted. Those are at csl.edu as well. And then this fall in October, just having the foresight that maybe things won't slow down and just being prepared, we're going to do another online event, Contemplate, that will be 1 or 2 days. We haven't quite begun to figure out that schedule yet. We're waiting to see how Vocatio goes. But that'll be in October, and that's an event generally for college-age students and above. But I think once we get there, it'll probably be the same. If you just want to see what the seminary is like, if you want to hear from some professors, tune in. In October, Contemplate will be another hopefully great experience as well.
Very good. The Reverend Micah Glenn, Director of Recruitment for Concordia Seminary in St. Louis. Learn more about Vocatio. Visit csl.edu/Vocatio. Pastor Glenn, thanks so much for being our guest on the Coffee Hour today and sharing with us about this great opportunity for high school students.
Yeah, no, thank you again for having me on. It's always a blessing again. And you and Andy, you and Sarah, you do great work. Thank you for sharing our event.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Well, I wish I were a high school student, but as he mentioned, you can
do
register.
It anyway.
I could do it too, just to learn more about the great opportunities at Concordia Seminary. You've been listening to the Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Golseth.
The Coffee Hour with Andy and Sarah is a production of KFUO. To support the Coffee Hour and KFUO Radio, visit kfuo.org. You can also text KFUO to 41444 or send an email to gifts@kfuo.org. And you can call us at 800-844-0524. KFUO. Christ for you, anytime, anywhere.